All right, and welcome back. So today we are going to be talking about how to find the slope between 2 points. Now, we have been figuring out how to find the slope between points on a graph. We've also looked at how to find the slope between coordinate points on a table. Now, today we're going to be expanding our knowledge about slope, about how to find it between two coordinate points. So without further ado, let's do a little bit of a warm-up activity. Let's say we have this graph that is pictured. And we are given that this graph contains at least 2 points, because a linear, or a line, I should say, has to have 2 points in order to be a line. Now, we're given 2 points here. We're given 5, 2 and 10, 14. And if I were to ask you, what is the slope of this line? What is slope of the line? Poorly drawn, but still, what is the slope of the line? Well, if you were trying to figure it out, I know exactly what you would write. You would write that slope, or we use the letter m, is equal to the change in y over the change in x. Remember, the change in y is up or down, the change in x is left or right. If it's going up the y-axis, we have a positive value. If it's going down the y-axis, it's a negative y value. If it's going to the right on the x-axis, it's a positive x value. Going to the left on the x-axis, it's a negative x value. So let's try to calculate the slope of this line. Well, in order for us to do that, we have been using the method of counting if we are given the graph. So we're going to start at 5, 2, the point furthest to the left, and we're going to count how much we go up or down until we get to a spot that is the same height of our second point. So we start at 5, 2, and we don't count that, right? We go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we went up 12, where we had a positive 12. So let's replace that. We know that our change in y was positive 12, and I'm positive about that. Well, we're currently off the line right now, so we want to get back on that line. So we need to count how many units we go to the right to get back on that line. Well, we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we went right 5. So our change in our x value was 5. Therefore, our slope is 12 over 5, and we ask ourselves, can we simplify 12 over 5? No, we cannot. We're going to leave it as an improper fraction. We always want our slope to be in fraction. Right? We always want a fraction. So therefore, the slope of the line is equal to 12 over 5. Awesome, great job. So that's how we know how to calculate the slope if we're given a graph and we're given the line. But what if we were just given this? What do you think we'd have to do to find the slope of this line? But now there's no grid. Let's think about this for a second. Oh, I know. Or I have an idea. We already know that our slope was equal to 12 over 5. Just to confirm, let's just go back. 12 over 5. And it looks like we have the exact same coordinate points, 5, 2, and 10, 14. I see 5, 2, 10, 14. Perfect. So we know that the slope is going to be the same value. But how do we get 12 over 5, though? We know it's 12 over 5 because our slope has not changed. Our line has not changed. We need to figure out how to get 12 over 5 by looking at this line and the coordinate points. Think about how we get 12. Think about how we get 5. Remember, it's our change in y over our change in x. Well, let's look at some of the values that we have within our coordinate points. 5, 2. Remember, it's always x, y. So 5 is the x value. 2 is the y value. Likewise, in 10, 14, 10 is the x value. 14 is the y value. Well, we know that our change in y is 12. So let's look at our y values. We know that the change in y should be 12. Well, let's look at the y values we have. We have a 2. We have a 14. Let's look at the change in our x values. We know it should be 5. We have a 5. We have 10. How in the world could we get 12 from 2 and 14? And how in the world do we get 5 from 5 and 10? Yeah, that's right. Sound like a children's show, like a Dora the Explorer. How do we do it? Excelente! Right. So yeah, that's great. So we have 2 and 14. Well, if we want to get 12, we would do 14 minus 2. And that gives us 12. If we want to get 5, well, we have a 10. We have a 5. That gives us 5. So what we did was we did 14 minus 2, or the y value of the coordinate point on the right-hand side, minus the y value, the coordinate on the left-hand side. 14 minus 2, that gave us 12, and we knew our change in y was 12. Then we also did the x value of the coordinate point on the right-hand side, which was 10, minus the x value on the left-hand side, which was 5. That gave us 5. And we knew it was already 5. So you just discovered what's actually formalized. And we call it the slope formula. So the slope formula, you should be jotting this down. The slope formula is your slope is equal to y sub 2 minus y sub 1. That's divided by x sub 2 minus x sub 1. And to loosely translate that, it's the second y value minus the first y value over the second x value minus the first x value. The numbers that you see, the 2 and the 1, are what we call subscripts. That doesn't have any mathematical power to it. It doesn't have any operational strength. What it does is it tells us it has names. Y sub 2 is the second y value, minus y sub 1, the first y value, over x sub 2, which is the second x value, minus x sub 1, which is the first x value. So therefore, when given any points on a line, you can label either points as x sub 1, comma y sub 1, the x value of the first point, comma the y value of the first point, and the other point as x sub 2, comma y sub 2, the x value of that second point, comma the y value of the second point. And we can use this to help us calculate the slope when we do not have a line, we do not have a graph. So we're going to go through an example now. Let me move this up here. So we always start out by writing slope is equal to y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. And your hands should hurt because you're going to be writing this so much because we want to instill it in you that you know that slope formula. So we're going to replace some of the values that we know. We're given the coordinate point -1, 4. We're given the coordinate point 7, 8. The first thing that I do, and I do this all the time, is I label my x and y values. I'm going to let that first point, -1, 4, that green point, be my first coordinate point. -1 is the x value of the first point. 4 is the y value of the first point. I'm then going to let 7, 8 be my second point. So 7 is the x value of the second point. 8 is the y value of the second point. And I'm going to replace these values with my variables and their names. So slope is equal to the second x value, the second y value minus the first y value over the second x value minus the first x value. So let's translate that and let's put it into actual application. Y sub 2 was the y value of my second point, which is 8, minus y sub 1, the y value of my first point, which is 4. That's going to be divided by x sub 2, the x value of my second point, which was 7, minus the x value of my first point, which was -1. But now notice, it's 7 minus, and I need the value -1. Now another thing that you should notice here is my colors line up. Notice in the numerator, my red number comes first. It's red minus green. In the denominator, it's also red minus green. You have to make sure that the order in which you are subtracting remains the same. That your second coordinate point minus the first. Second minus the first. So long as that order is true, then you're going to be completely okay. So now let's simplify. 8 minus 4 is 4. 7 minus -1. I know that 2 negatives make a positive. 7 plus 1 is 8. We always ask ourselves, hey, can we simplify? And yes, we can. We can do 4 over 8 can get simplified by 4. So we get 1 over 2. Therefore, the slope of that line is 1 over 2. Awesome. So we're going to end here. I'm going to ask you to start to practice this. This is going to be something we're going to be doing for a long time. And you can use this slope formula if you're looking at a table. You can use it if you're looking on a graph. So long as you have 2 coordinate points, you are going to be A-okay. You're doing a great job, folks. Keep it up. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will talk to you soon. Let me just hit you with a smiley face real quick. Awesome. Great job, folks. Talk to you soon.